Beer me, Blazer.
Okay, want to go on to the next? Go on to the running back position.
Let's talk about some running backs.
You want to talk running backs?
Let's talk about some running backs.
That drops way louder than everything else. Okay, let's go on to the running back position. We got Elijah Mitchell. I don't know how I feel about Elijah Mitchell, but he is 59% rostered. This is on ESPN leagues. They play the Colts week 7. Why are you adding Elijah Mitchell?
Yeah, so I want to talk about Elijah Mitchell. Like you said, he's pretty much 40% available on ESPN. He's 60% available on the NFL app. Someone dropped him last week. He was
Which
on
is
the
so
bye.
funny because how many people spent so much fab
Yeah,
on this guy?
and you know what's crazy in this league? I'm in this guy. He spent like 90 out of his 100 fab to get Elijah Mitchell, and then he dropped him.
It's like,
I
what?
was like, dude, what are you doing here? What are we doing here? Anyways, yeah, so he's available. It just depends on what league you're in. Obviously, every league's a little bit different, but I like Elijah Mitchell, and if he's out there, I'm doing my best to get him on my team. You know, as we like to say, I was a week early instead of a week late. Someone dropped him. I saw he got dropped in last week's waiver wires, and that's something you need to pay attention to. You need to pay attention to not only who's getting picked up, but who are people dropping to grab these other players, because sometimes they'll drop really good players, and
because they want
those will kind of fly under the radar. And then, especially for Elijah Mitchell, for me, he was on a bye. So if you went to the running backs to see who was available, he wasn't there because he was projected 0 points because they were on a bye. So that's also good. Like Mike, you always bring it up. You filter it through the roster percentage, and it'll show you who the highest roster players are that are available on the waiver wire.
ESPN app, on the actual app, you can't do it on that app anymore, but you can do it when you go
you could do it on the ESPN app.
Oh, you might have to show me that because I always log into my desktop to do it.
Okay.
But yeah. So, anyways. But yeah, so you just giving people idea. I didn't know that you could do it on the app. That's
you
good.
can do it on the app. I'll show you.
Okay. So, but yeah, figure out how to manipulate these apps, because you can really if you can take advantage of stuff like that, the percentage rostered, you can see stuff because the projections don't really show it if you're on bye weeks. Yeah, check that recent activity. I literally at midnight, I always go and look at the recent activity.
Yeah, I'll see who
people dropped,
or who picked up who and stuff like that. But yeah, Elijah Mitchell, love him. If he's there, grab him. He's played 60 or more % of the snaps in the 3 games that he's played in. I mean, week 1, we all thought it would be, Trey Sermon who would be out there with Raheem Mostert. Then obviously Mostert gets hurt, goes down. It was Elijah Mitchell who was there. Sermon was a healthy scratch, and Elijah Mitchell had that crazy breakout game in week 1. And then week 2, he didn't have a crazy week 2. Should have got you a touchdown in week 2. He got tackled or he fumbled at the 1-yard line or something like that. But in the games that he's played, he's had 19 touches, and 11 touches. And the thing that really boosted my confidence in him was that last week prior to their bye, he outsnapped Trey Sermon 44-2.
Yeah,
it wasn't even close. It was like, hey, Elijah Mitchell's the guy. Kyle Juszczyk is being heavily utilized, and I think maybe just because he's the savvy veteran, he's a good blocking guy. But in terms of who the running back is for the San Francisco 49ers, they gave one running back 44 snaps, and then they gave the other running back 2 snaps. So this isn't even a running back by committee. This is hey, we're giving Elijah Mitchell the opportunity to succeed and be the guy until maybe when Jeff Wilson Jr. comes back, he's the guy. He's another good stash that maybe, he's on IR right now. You just grab him, and if you have an IR spot, you can throw him on there. I've done that personally in a couple leagues. Just grab Jeff Wilson Jr., throw him on your IR spot. But, yeah, I love Elijah Mitchell. I think he's got crazy good upside if they're going to give him that many snaps compared to the other quote-unquote running back in Trey Sermon.
I will say this. I think those are all valid points. But the Niners' backfield is dead to me.
I feel you.
And until I see 3 weeks of consistency from one running back, I'm no longer touching any Niners running backs. So I just want to put that out there on my opinion on it. I just felt like this in the Ravens' backfield. I'm just
the Ravens
pleading the fifth. I'm not touching it anymore. I'm over it. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So I just want to put that out there. But I definitely think you're making.
Even if you don't go out and you get Elijah Mitchell and you throw him in your lineup, let's say, hey, let me just go get him. I'll throw him on my bench. You have some better
Sure.
options. But then he does boom. He does hit.
Then you have that.
Now you got the trade equity.
Yeah. You're taking a risk.
And I love talking about trade equity.
Yeah, you love that trade equity. Yeah, let's go on to the next running back then.
Dernest.
Hansel is so hot right now.
No, that's not.
That's wrong time.
That is not his hands.
Oh, say
No,
My bad.
dude. My guy
I'm
just
just
hit the
touching-
soundboard, dude.
Oh no,
Just
he's
hit the button, dude.
hey, but right now, no more Kareem Hunt, no more Nick Chubb. Dernest Johnson singing.
I'm Rory.
He's Ronry back there. So yeah, Kareem Hunt has the calf injury. Nick Chubb still could possibly come back, but it's a short week. You got Thursday night football for the Broncos-Browns game. Dernest Johnson could be the waiver wire ad of the week, I think. I know we touched on Elijah Mitchell first, but Dernest Johnson, I think, could possibly, especially in this bye week situation, he could be a guy. If you're like in a situation like me, I got Allison Eckler, Najee Harris. Actually, I think a decent amount of people probably have that set up because of where they drafted. There's probably some people out there with that.
Yeah.
I think Dernest Johnson might be a solid pickup going in this game. 0% rostered, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, yeah. Here's the thing with the Dernest. The Dernest Johnson. This is just the Dernest situation here because you got Chubb banged up and you got Kareem Hunt going on IR with the calf injury. But for me, I'm not really sold on it. I guess maybe it's just we'll see what happens tomorrow. Like you said, they play on Thursday night. We'll see what happens tomorrow with Nick Chubb, whether he gets a limited practice in or not. He didn't practice today, which is Monday. He's dealing with his own injury. But the thing that gives me a little bit of confidence that Chubb could come back this week is that they didn't put him on IR. They put Kareem Hunt on IR immediately after he got hurt. Chubb, they didn't put him on IR. So my thinking is like, hey, they were like, we have a guy like Kareem Hunt. He can carry the workload. There's no reason for us to throw Chubb out there on Sunday when he's not 100%. And then we have a quick, short week playing on Thursday 4 days later. Let's just save him this week.
Yeah,
we'll let Kareem Hunt run it, and then we'll have Chubb back. We'll give him those 4 extra days to rest. So I'm thinking that Chubb does come back this game, and he kind of reclaims his workload as being the main guy. If Chubb doesn't play, then yeah, I'm not mad at starting Dernest Johnson. Out of him and the other guy, I think his name's like Dimitri Johnson or something like that. I would play Dernest Johnson. He's the bigger back out of the two. But then also too, the Browns were down 2 linemen last week. They were down Jack Conklin, and Jedrick Willis, who are 2 pretty good offensive linemen in the NFL. So that's also another thing to keep an eye on. Are those linemen going to be back for the Cleveland Browns as well?
Mm-hmm. So we're recording this Monday night, pretty late. So I would say if Nick Chubb doesn't practice
Tuesday morning, dude, 1 a.m.
Tuesday morning, 1 a.m. Yeah, if Nick Chubb doesn't practice today when you're watching this or listening to this, then I would say go ahead and put in a waiver claim for Dernest Johnson. And then, but if not, then maybe just wait. But someone's going to grab him. I wouldn't spend a ton of fab on it, but I definitely.
Yeah, he'd be like a 1 week rental basically. Because even if Chubb doesn't play this game, I would expect Chubb to play next week.
Yeah, you never know.
You're right. You never.
It could be that game scripted, but so pay attention to whether or not he practiced. We'll post it on the Instagram. Go follow that too. Link down below. But yeah, so just like that, I think that's good advice on the Browns situation.
Yeah.
Let's go
No
on to
doubt.
the next running back. We got Kenyan Drake.
Soundboard.
Bro, chill. Just talk real quick.
Talking right now because we're talking about some guy who plays.
Kenyan Drake. Kenyan Drake had 2 touchdowns this past weekend. So what are you thinking? You're like, oh damn, I gotta go put. Wait, what's Kenyan Drake's roster percentage even right now? What is it?
I actually didn't even write this one down because the first note I wrote down for this one was no. That's what I have written down for the note. Is no right here. Yeah, I mean, Drake comes out, he gets you the 2 touchdowns, has a crazy good game. He probably was only started in like 1% of leagues. I don't know how many people had Kenyan Drake in their
57% roster.
Their starting lineup. But, you know, you might be thinking like, hey, let me run to the waiver wire and grab Kenyan Drake. I would be on the no side of that.
I'm with you.
He only played 20% of the snaps in that game. He ends up getting you 2 touchdowns on 20% of the snaps. Those are not odds that I like going forward to be consistently him getting that many points, only playing 20%. And back-to-back games, he's only played 20% of the snaps compared to Josh Jacobs, who's played 60 or more % of the snaps in the last 3 games that he's come back from the injury. So, yeah, I don't know. I just don't like it. And then just, like, in terms of, like, the targets, which was where Drake was kind of getting his, like, bread and butter. Like, in PPR leagues, he was pretty consistent through the first 3 weeks. Weeks 1 through 3, he had 17 targets compared to Josh Jacobs' 2 targets. So 17-2 in weeks 1 through 3. But in weeks 4 through 6, just 3 targets compared to Josh Jacobs' 11. And then Jalen Richard has returned, which is he's been getting in the mix here and there as well. So, yeah, I just don't like it. I let someone else blow their fab or their waiver claim on Kenyan Drake, and then that'll help me another player slide to me.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, Drake's over here like
It was not a flub.
saying it's not a flub.
I mean, and even like
but
you
it
could
was.
even say like, hey, if Josh Jacobs goes down, then I have Drake. He's the guy. But when that was the scenario, it was Peyton Barber who was getting all the love.
I mean, list the stats. Kenyan Drake, week 6, 4 carries for 34 yards, 2 receptions for 39 yards, a touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown, 1 receiving touchdown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like he's just. I mean, in the red zone, that's where he got his touches. It was so limited. That doesn't happen. Don't get too excited. So I'm with you on that for sure. Want to move on to the next one?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Next one we got here, I don't mind, is J.D. McKissic. Obviously, been kind of wild. 46% rostered. Antonio Gibson's been dealing with the shin situation. He didn't have a lot of carries, J.D. McKissic. He had 8 carries for 45 yards, but he did have 8 receptions for 65 yards. Which is for as far as running backs go, that's like that. Those 8 receptions is what we wanted to see with Antonio Gibson, but I think with Gibson's shin splint situation, I think it's just all going to J.D. McKissic now. They're kind of just saving Antonio.
Yeah, I mean, he's seen 40% of the snaps pretty much consistently through the season. It's been like 60% Antonio Gibson, 40% J.D. McKissic, 10 targets last week. So, yeah, like Mike was saying right there, it's just you like seeing that for the running back, especially if you're in a PPR league. Obviously, McKissic, to me at least, gets a boost in the PPR formats. I mean, he's the second most targeted player on the Washington football team just behind Terry McLaurin. And, you know, hashtag interesting stat right here. In the games that he's had 5 or more receptions, he's scored 16 or more PPR points. So if anything was to happen to Gibson or that he is limited, you know, as long as McKissic, from what the numbers are telling us at least, if he's going to get you 5 catches, he's going to get you 16 or more PPR points. So he'd be a guy I'd be going out and grabbing because at least he's seeing the field more compared to Drake. You know,
sounds
like if it's Drake or McKissic, give me McKissic all day.
Yeah.
Even if it's Dernest Johnson and McKissic, give me McKissic.
Yeah.
I like it.
I'm going Elijah Mitchell over McKissic though, just in case anyone's like watching. They're like, well, what about Elijah Mitchell?
Yeah. So yeah, over 100 scrimmage yards or 100 total yards. So we love to see that.
Yeah.
Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissic, 46% rostered. Go pick him up, get him up there. Next one here we got Ronald Jones.
Who?
Ronald Jones. Ron Jones. So this is not so much because obviously like the usage, you're like why the fuck would you pick up Ronald Jones, right?
Yeah.
But explain.
This one's just more like a speculative ad. If you know, I'm not wasting a waiver claim on him. I'm not really wasting any fab on him. Maybe I'll drop $1 on him potentially. But the trade deadline is coming up soon, and obviously we've seen that the Bucs have just given Fournette the full reign of taking over as like the workhorse back. I mean, Fournette's just been. If you have Fournette, I mean, you're super stoked because I mean the guy's just been killing it. I think he's had over 100 total scrimmage yards in 3 straight games. But Ronald Jones has just become an afterthought. with his fumbles, and then on the YouTube channel here, his ability to not catch the ball, but he actually caught that one, which is crazy. But yeah, so and they have Gio Bernard, who's obviously their scat back. They still have Keyshawn Vaughn, who's not very good in my opinion, but they have him. So Ronald Jones in a contract year, it's like, do they just hold on to him as depth, or do they trade him for a player? Do they trade him for a draft pick, instead of just losing him in the offseason for nothing? So he could potentially be on the move at the trade deadline. I know this sounds gross as a Dolphins fan, but it's like, give me Ronald Jones over Malcolm Brown. Give me Ronald Jones over Savon Ahmed.
What about over Gaskin?
As a pure running back, give me Ronald Jones over Myles Gaskin. As a receiver, give me Gaskin.
Right.
But it's just like, yeah, dude. So I think Ronald Jones could be utilized somewhere else better than where he's being utilized there. So, yeah, this is kind of like one of those speculative ads, like I said, where maybe if he gets traded somewhere and he ends up in the right spot, he could be something. So,
I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Seattle might not be bad.
Yeah, Chris Carson's neck keeps breaking.
Yeah, Rashad Penny's just not. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know why he's still.
All they got is Travis Homer. He's been used more. But
DJ Dallas, our guy DJ Dallas.
So yeah, I forget. But yeah, so but if he gets traded, that's kind of a sneaky ad. I like that. And Ronald Jones is 38.5% rostered, so he's definitely that's the ESPN leagues, which is the higher percentage rostered app. So he's most likely available in your league.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Grab and stash if he gets traded.
Yeah. Hey, did you like that video? No, not the one of Big Ben completely eating shit when nobody even touched him. I'm talking about our fantasy football video we just did. You just watched. Well, guess what? That was just a clip from the full audio podcast. So if you want to check out the whole thing, links down below. AVG Fantasy Football Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, all of them. Anywhere you can get audio podcasts, we're there. Go ahead and check it out. And if you don't want to look at your fantasy team to look the way Big Ben does right here, wait for it. Come on, replay. This is your fantasy team. But that won't be your fantasy team if you subscribe to AVG Fantasy Football. So go ahead, subscribe and like this video. Subscribe to the channel and like.